It is a big idea, a new world order.
It's good to be back at the Council on Foreign Relations.
Last February, Obama pledged that he would resume the Security and Prosperity Partnership talks.
In Pakistan, meanwhile, the first apparent U.S. missile strike since Barack Obama became commander-in-chief.
We've got to give them a stake in creating the kind of world order that I think all of us would like to see.
It is a global depression and one world currency.
The bailout bubble, which is bigger than the dot-com bubble, bigger than the real estate bubble. The bailout bubble is $12.8 trillion.
But what the government's going to do is it's going to turn this into an inflationary depression.
Welcome to Freedom Watch, Alex. What are you talking about today?
Just how hundreds of mainstream news articles a week are saying there is a new world order, a global government. It will be run by the very banks that are collapsing society by design, and we will pay carbon taxes to them. Here is Time Magazine headline, New World Order, and they say a new bank of the world will rule the United States. Here is the Financial Times of London, and now for a world government is the headline. They're openly announcing that the banks will rule the planet and will pay our carbon taxes.
My first question is, several months after Obama stepped in as president of the United States, you make a documentary calling him a deceiver. Why?
He said he wouldn't hire lobbyists. All he's done is hire high-powered lobbyists at every level of government. And he's handed the country over to the oligarchs, the international bankers, to loot the nation, according to Bloomberg Financial, of $9.7 trillion. He has lied about leaving Iraq. He said he would take the troops out immediately. Now he says 16 to 23 months, and he's going to keep them there. He's increased the troops by 30,000, doubling them in Afghanistan. He's bombing Pakistan.
The fact is, and I might get booed for this, the fact is that on the ground, Obama is continuing some of the most belligerent, violent, and some would say unconstitutional policies of the Bush administration. Bagram is his Guantanamo. They're spending $60 million to expand the
Bagram being
in Afghanistan, the air base. Right. They're holding people without charge in contravention of international law. Bombings in Pakistan with these drones are indiscriminately killing civilians. Civilians are dying in Afghanistan on a regular basis, and the guy's using 250,000 contractors in Iraq and Afghanistan right now. Sounds to me a lot like Bush.
Yeah.
So
we will incarcerate people preventively. Preventive incarceration. Indefinite detention without trial. That's what this is. That's what President Obama proposed today, if you strip away the euphemisms. One civil liberties advocate told the New York Times today, quote, "We've known this was on the horizon for many years, but we were able to hold it off with George Bush. The idea that we might find ourselves fighting with the Obama administration over these powers is really stunning." And it is stunning, particularly to hear President Obama claim the power to keep people in prison indefinitely with no charges against them, no conviction, no sentence, just imprisonment.
It's a good thing I'm not the president. I'm an independent, because I would prosecute the people who did it, I would prosecute the people who ordered it, and they would all go to jail. My government's never lied to me, have they? Let's see, where should we start? The Gulf of Tonkin incident? Now that took us into war in Vietnam. They've now admitted it was a lie. So 58,000 of my generation were killed based upon a lie. But that doesn't count, does it?
What does that have to do with 9/11?
That shows that we will lie to go to war. We've been doing it for years. We will continue to do it. The Gulf of Tonkin incident, did you believe that? Well, you probably weren't alive then.
America went to war against Iraq based on a lie. We were told in 2002 Iraq had weapons of mass destruction. The previous administration even pursued torture to try to extract false confessions to try to justify the war. It's time to tell the truth. The truth is we should not have prosecuted a war against the Iraqi people. The truth is the Democratic Senate could have stopped the Iraq war in 2002. The truth is we Democrats were given control of Congress in 2006 to end the war. Get out of Iraq, Get out of Afghanistan. Come home, America. Come home. The Federal Reserve is no more federal than Federal Express. But yet it has the power to determine the direction of use of money in our economy. If we could take that power back and put the Federal Reserve under Treasury, we start to be in a position of being able to control monetary policy on behalf of the United States people.
They're creating another bubble, the bailout bubble, which is bigger than the dot-com bubble, bigger than the real estate bubble. The bailout bubble is $12.8 trillion in the pipeline. The government is now being involved in businesses. It's a whole different game. There's nothing to inflate. So we're going to see the tax riots. We predicted them.
So what's happening is the Federal Reserve, and by the way, the Federal Reserve is no more federal than Federal Express. It's a private company. What they're doing is these are the people that caused the problem are now being asked to fix it. It's an illusion.
We should not be increasing government spending. Government should be cutting its spending. If we can cut spending enough, then maybe we can cut taxes. But if we just cut taxes and the government keeps spending, the real cost of government isn't what it taxes, but what it spends. And if it doesn't take it from us honestly through taxes, it's going to do it dishonestly by creating inflation. And that is exactly what they're doing. And we're going to pay for this, not in the future, but right now.
We had a phony economy based on borrowing money, spending borrowed money. We need to base our economy on saving money, on producing things. And so the credit crunch, this is not the problem. Credit needs to be allocated away from consumers. We need to stop borrowing money and buying stuff and concentrate on saving our money so we can make stuff. And maybe that's going to mean a rather severe recession. But what the government's going to do is it's going to turn this into an inflationary depression, which is going to be much, much worse.
What if the American people learn the truth? That our foreign policy has nothing to do with national security, that it never changes from one administration to the next. What if war and preparation for war is a racket serving the special interests? What if President Obama is completely wrong about Afghanistan and it turns out worse than Iraq and Vietnam put together? What if diplomacy is found to be superior to bombs and bribes in protecting America? What happens if my concerns are completely unfounded? Nothing. But what happens if my concerns are justified and ignored? Nothing good. And I yield back the balance of my time.
You're sponsoring H.R. 1207. That's the Federal Reserve Transparency Act of 2009. There are over 200 co-sponsors, including over 50 Democrats. What is this legislation? What are you looking to do?
Well, actually, we're doing a little bit better. It's up to 234 and 65 Democrats, so we're doing very well. What it does, it means that we can audit the Fed and find out all the promises they've made, all the guarantees, and how they've been involved in other central banks and other governments and international financial institutions. So we would find out what's going on. And even Obama talks, he used the word more transparency. But they're doing exactly the opposite. I don't believe they'll give us real transparency. At the same time, they're giving the agency of government, pseudo-agency, the Federal Reserve, more power. And they're the culprit.